Hello, I am Linda Washington. I'm your host today for the Reu Show. I want to welcome you to a great program we have today. We have a great guest here with us. We have a lot of things we want to share with you. We have a lot to talk about. So you need to call your neighbors and call your friends and let them know that the Reu Show is on. You say, I never heard of this show before. Reu. What are you saying? RE-YOU. Reu. Make yourself different. Do yourself over. Maybe you're someplace in your life and you don't like where you are. Maybe something has happened to you throughout your life. Maybe you have experienced a setback. You feel that maybe your dream can never happen. Maybe you feel that your destiny is too far off. Some things have happened to slow you down. Going back to school, becoming an entrepreneur, or whatever your dream would be. Well, I'm here to let you know that I am the host of this new show called Reu. Do yourself all over again. That's what I had to do for myself. I've done some things in my life, some things I achieved, some things I missed the mark a little bit, but I didn't want to just stop where I was. I said, you know what? I'm going to do my life over. I'm going to Reu. And that's what we have guests that have come here today to share with you some of their life experiences, as well as some of you in the audience. You can say, I think I may want to try that. We have some beautiful and young, talented artists that we're going to bring out at different times. We have some entrepreneurs, we have some entertainers. So you never know what's going to happen. So you don't want to miss one show. I am your host, Linda Washington, and we're going to get right to our show today because we have a lot to talk about. Today, we have been honored to be graced with an artist that is out there doing phenomenal things, writing books. He's an author. He's a fitness trainer. He is involved in so much on an entrepreneurship level. And we're just going to talk about all kinds of things. So I want to introduce to you at this time, without further ado, my guest on my show today, Mr. David Santiago. How are you, Dave?
Excellent. Absolutely fabulous. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Glad to have you here. I know you're busy. You're on the road. You're managing things around. And I told your people, I just need him for one day. Get him here. And you flew into Chicago. And we're going to let the audience know today some great things that's happening with you. I want to start off with talking a little bit about your entrepreneurship. People are branching off. They want to start businesses. They want to start restaurants, clubs. They want to start their own line of whatever. What are some of the things that people can do that want to embark on really getting their entrepreneurship started? Where do they really, tap into that? How do they get started?
Well, what technology has kind of shifted the climate a little bit, a lot, because there's so many different avenues now that you can actually, be an entrepreneur. Using that, there's a lot of people using the internet for selling things, products, commerce, and everything. So there's so many different opportunities now because of technology, because of the growth. People are trying to reinvent themselves, especially because, of course, the economy up and down, shifts down and goes, in different directions. But as far as the basic elements of being a business owner, they're pretty much the same. So, you do have to get out there, understand your market, learn your market, actually know where you want to target, and make sure that when you get into something that almost everything you can about it before you even jump into it.
That's good. Research is important. I see some restaurants, you may see that same type of restaurant across the street, like a hamburger place.
Absolutely.
You can drive through a community, you can see one hamburger place, and across the street, there's another hamburger place. You wonder, how can you make money? But it's so many people, and so many people have a different taste for different things. So that entrepreneurship level, like you say, do your research. Now, if there are 4 hamburger places on one corner, you don't want to go there and be the 5th, of course.
Of course.
So you kind of have to know what you want to do and if there's a need for it.
Yes, and you want to find your niche, because there can be 4 hamburger places, and if that is your dream and you have a unique way of selling hamburgers, that's what you want to use. You want to use your niche, and it might be also, which is a lot of businesses are doing now, is amalgamating, putting their businesses together. So instead of just selling burgers, of course, they're selling burgers and maybe chicken as well, maybe something else with the waffles or something else, what it is. So you're actually adding more elements to just burgers.
And that's going to be a draw to your establishment.
Right, because you bring more to the table now, and then there's other options for an individual to come in there and enjoy.
Absolutely. I've been driving and I would see like literally in 2 blocks, 5 gas stations. Then I have gas. I'm cool. and I can drive 10 more minutes where I actually need gas, and there's not a gas station around. So I think marketing, what you want to do is so essential to what you just said. Know your market, do your research. If there are 5 gas stations here, but there are no gas stations 30 miles away, go over there.
Right.
Sometimes people have to really take a step back and take that time to research. And also entrepreneurship, people think it takes a lot of money, but there are so many ways you can get money through grant writing, collaborating with other small businesses, maybe even
Definitely.
featuring something that people have a need for, getting sponsorship. This is a day and age when there is no reason not to fulfill your dreams and re-you whatever you want to be. That's what re-you is, redoing you, remarketing yourself, reinventing yourself, doing yourself all over again. I can talk about my own personal experience. I've gone through some things in my life, and maybe I felt like, well, I won't try to do that now. Maybe too much time has gone by. I personally have helped people and propelled them to their dreams, help them achieve what they wanted to do. And sometimes people get out there and they get caught up in the hype of what they're doing and they forget about you. And you're looking like, I help you get there. Do you remember me? And you feel like, well, I put so much energy into helping somebody else. I should have spent that time really doing my own thing, but it's not too late to do you. Re-you, do you all over again. You don't have to stay stagnant to where you are. Whatever your dreams are, whatever you feel that your destiny is, you can launch yourself and you can go there. Like you have so many different aspects of things that you're doing. You're an entrepreneur. You've had your hands in that. Even in the world of fitness, you're a fitness trainer. Tell us a little bit about what got you even involved. Why do you care about the people in shape or not?
Right. Well, going into that point, first of all, is that you just made when you do start something, you do want to learn from maybe the people that already been in that field. And I did the same thing with the fitness, working for a company, learning the inside of fitness from an established gym, actually a franchise gym. From there, I became from a trainer, worked my way up to a general manager, learned everything about that business that I could run my own gym.
Wow.
So when you say re-you, of course, I said to myself, I can do this myself. After I did learn from the ground up exactly how to run a gym, how to teach fitness, how to have a fitness company, all those things I put together. And then next thing was the next step is, of course, running it yourself, doing it yourself, having that confidence from also running those establishments gave me, the know-how and also the confidence for me to do it on my own.
That is awesome. Sometimes you sit back and you think that the dream is too big, it's not attainable.
Right.
But it really is. If you break it down and take certain steps, you can actually get there. I was actually sitting in my bedroom one night and I was thinking to myself, I think I want to write a play. I said, I'm going to write a play. And I just got out pen and paper and began to write character names down and started writing lines for them to say. And people didn't believe I was going to do it. I literally walked through the local mall and I was casting people to be in this play. I ended up with a cast of 155 people.
Wow.
A choir, the name of the play was He'll Turn Your Tears to Diamonds. And we changed that play now into a sequel. I'm writing the book entitled the same thing. And my book, He'll Turn Your Tears into Diamonds, is about 3 generations of women in my own family, my grandmother, my mother, and myself, how our lives kind of like parallel. From divorce to miscarriages to being disappointed to backing things that never came to fruition for you, that you help other people to do that, and they went on to become great. And so it's just talking about 3 generations of women and how the Bible talks about how when you cry to other people, your tears is just like wasted water. Tears are nothing. Who cares about a tear? But in the Bible, there's a scripture that say He'll turn your tears. He'll save all your tears and He'll give them back to you on that day in a bottle. That the Lord loves us so much. He cares so much about us. Even the tears that fall from your eyes, He don't let those tears drop and go to waste. So I'm giving a little bit of the cover of my book, and you better buy my book. It's going to be out real soon. It's like my grandmother, and I have tears coming from her eyes dropping onto my mother's face, the next generation, and tears coming from my mother's eyes dropping onto my face, and tears coming down to my face dropping into like a vase or a bottle, and those tears turning into diamonds. Right. And we're taking those experiences, those hardships, those triumphs, those great moments, those moments of being torn, disappointed, all together, those experiences, and they're like diamonds. They made us who we were. Me, my mother, my grandmother. E.R. Allen is my mother, a great known, pastor in Chicago. My grandmother, Veda Goldsmith, very well known in the southern Monroe, Louisiana area. So I just took a book and I did that. And then I wrote a play about it and we sold it out like 3 times by popular demand.
Nice.
So I could have just sat back and said, well, I'm not going to do it. It's been 10 years past, but I wanted to recapture that. And that was the concept of Reu and the show now that's launching, that we're doing, letting other people know no matter where you are in life, no matter what's happening in your life, you don't have to stay stagnant there. You can literally step back, exhale, and say, I wanted to always do this. You know what? I'm going for it. I'm going to do it. Reu. And when I tell people in the store all the time, I say, what are you doing? I'm shooting a show called Reu. They're like, I like that. And so I'm so glad to have you here as my guest today talking about how you reviewed you. You've
Absolutely.
been through some things in your past, but it didn't stop you. You propelled yourself. You have a book out. Can we see the book? Did you bring it? I hope you did
Absolutely.
today.
Right here.
Awesome.
Classic Sisters. This is actually the first edition of it, and I just republished it when I republished it on ebook. On the ebook, it has a different cover. It has some additions to it, some changes, but pretty much the same story about 3 women who indulge in plastic surgery and the ramifications of their decisions. Now, we all know that life has changed so many different ways for us, from especially some of us that grew up in the 70s and 80s, that we see now people, I guess, a little bit more superficial, a little bit more material, and they actually want to, I guess, maximize the potential of life immediately. And that leads to sometimes making these decisions, and from there, their whole life changes.
Wow, Plastic Sisters. That is incredible. And I did read the book and I found it very intriguing, and I would encourage anyone else to get it. You have any other things that's out, any other books that's out? I
Yes.
mean, how can people get in contact with you when they want to see a repertoire of what you've done? You have a catalog or a library, or
Yes, I have
is
a
there a web
catalog.
page?
Yes, I have a catalog on Amazon, which I have 7 books. I have
7.
7 books.
How long did it take you to write 7 books? It's
Uh,
taken me 2 years to write one.
Well, as sometimes when people ask this question, it's kind of almost difficult to answer, because you almost, if someone sees something as difficult, you don't want to kind of make it seem like it's easy, almost in a braggadocious way, or almost like a overconfident way or cocky way. But once I found my passion for writing, it just is something that comes to me. Where the stories come from, I don't know. I've read that other writers say that our stories come from the sky, from up above, and they just drop into our head, and then we come in and we start writing them. A couple of my books are memoirs of my previous, my past life. Of course, certain things that I felt cultivated me and created the man who I am, and also within those situations, I did, change my life. So, those memoirs also, and nonfiction books of fitness and nutrition, which is another passion of my life. So I kind of brought my passions together, everything that I do with health and fitness and wellness, to writing. So, it just made sense to write about what I do.
Right. It's
Because,
easy.
right.
Easier to write about what you do.
Absolutely.
And there are instances where some people want to put their book out, but they don't know how to get started. They don't know how to write a book. What do? I have in my mind what I want to say. Some are fictional, some are personal, some are autobiographies. Some, they just wanted to write children's books. So if somebody would ask you, our audience that's looking today would say to you, how do I get started writing a book? What's something that I could do to just on a simple level? I don't want to do nothing really extravagant, but I do have a story that I either want to make up, or I have a story of my own that I want to share. I mean, what could you tell them to realistically do that's easy,
First and foremost, I get this question so many times. It's just simply like you did, just write it.
Okay.
Write it on paper with a pen and paper, pencil and paper, or of course nowadays it's probably better if you could just if you could type it into your computer, your laptop, or whatever. Even if you're using your phone, if you're coming up with these ideas while you're out there, and you have access to your phone, you have access to your notes. I use my notes. I have a screenplay app that I download. So, it's right there, because, once you really get to writing, and if that is something that you are passionate about, your thoughts. Sometimes things come to you in the middle of the night.
Right.
I kept a pad and a pen and a pad next to my bed.
That's good.
So, and so you always you don't want to lose these. As writing does not just mean writing books. There's poetry, there's songs, there's movies. So, I'm sure every writer that has been out there that's been writing songs, poems, books, screenplays, plays, whatever, those ideas come to them at, different times of the day. So
That's
you always
right.
want to be prepared to jot those ideas down and hold on to them.
That's good. That's good. Because sometimes you could be sleeping, you could have a dream and wake up from a dream and say, I want to write that down, but I don't want to forget about that. It's good to have pen and paper by bed. So as you get different thoughts and things come to your mind, just jot that down so you don't forget it. This is an age where we have, electronics.
Right.
Like you said, the iPad, we have the notepad, we have computers. So it's really easy to just, get it all together. And, I want to say there are young authors out there too. People
Yes.
think if you're an author, you have to be an adult, you have to be a grown person writing about something that you know all about. I have met some authors as early as young as 9 years old that have 2 books up under their belt already. They're writing children's books, they're writing all kinds of things.
Right.
So, it's good for our youth, instead of just playing the game all day, sit on the couch all day, get them involved in something. If they can express themselves, there's such an imaginary world out there. If you want to make up something and write a story about whatever. We remember the stories growing up, the 3 Little Bears,
Right.
Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, even things that we do around holiday time, stories about Santa Claus. You could write a story about anything. I was able to attend an author's workshop. It was so phenomenal to see a room of over 200 authors and to hear what they write about, to know that would even be interesting to a person. I said, anybody buy your book about that? Oh, yes, I sold quite a few books on eBay and on
Yes.
eKindle. And
Yep.
I mean, what is all that about? It's just, there's so many ways to market your book now. It's not like you have to just go to a bookstore and they have to put it on the shelf. There are so many ways people can see excerpts of what you want to say.
Right.
I mean, what's attainable that you could write maybe a little bit about it just to see if anybody even bites, just
Right.
to read a little. eKindle?
Yeah. KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing, which is the format that I use. It's accessible to everybody. Now, anyone could, there's a way that you do it. It doesn't cost you anything other than time and the money that you put into, you maybe create a cover, of course, because you have to create a cover for people to find your book, which could be, from a few $100s to, depending on how much you want to spend on, or what type of person you want to hire to make your cover. But everything else is pretty much yourself, just putting the time into learning the process to format the book, put it together. The Kindle Direct, KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing will actually guide you right through the process. So you format the book and you just download it, upload it yourself. It's different. It's called uploading a book. You upload it, put it out there, and in I guess less than 72 hours, your book will be able to be reached all over this world, all over globally.
Wow, that is phenomenal. And literally costs you nothing but to do it at home yourself and upload it. I look as I'm going through my Facebook and my Twitter pages and all of my LinkedIn, I have over 75,000 social network friends. And I'm looking on YouTube and I see how people are putting their songs out there themselves.
Right.
And you never know what artist is going to be looking on YouTube and see you out there and actually call you on the phone and say, hey, this is so-and-so. You're like, it can't be. But you can publish, you can self-publish yourself. You can do some things without going to a agency and paying them hundreds and thousands of dollars for doing, your legwork for you. You can just put your stuff, upload it yourself and put it out there.
Absolutely.
This is an incredible age of
Yes.
redoing yourself. I think about stories like Miss Phil Cookies, how she started making cookies in her own kitchen, in her own house. And I've heard other entrepreneurs that are millionaires and billionaires, even, Bill Gates, how he told his story in his neighborhood when he came up with a software. He asked his neighbors to just invest in minimal amount of money. They didn't want to do it. But when he hit the market, he gave everybody that gave him a minimal amount of money millions of dollars just for believing in him.
Right.
So we're not even in that age anymore where you need that. You could just go on, social media, put your stuff out there, upload it, download it, and see if it bites. It's incredible. It's a great time to read you.
Absolutely. It's a multitude of outlets. Like I was saying again, is that if you have any kind of interest in art or anything, just be an entrepreneur. You might have clever sayings that you want to put on t-shirts,
Mm-hmm.
that can turn into a clothing line. There's so many outlets, there's so many ways to reach the world now. Like I said, even with Amazon and KDP, you can have, I have had people in Europe buy my book.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's the computer age and all the technology has shrunken the world down. So now, instead of worrying about, the big corporate person to come in and give you a book deal, you can actually do a lot of the footwork yourself and then put them in a position where they do have to offer you money, but a lot more now. Because once you got that following, or you have those individuals that are buying your book, and you can show them that there's people interested in what I'm writing or what I'm saying or what I'm singing, then there you go.
Read you.
You just reused. Yeah.
And so you tell 1,000 people to watch this show so that we can blow up the same way. I am so excited about the concept of reuse. We're going to take the show on location. We're not just going to shoot it in the studio all the time. So if there's some place where you are and you feel you guys should come here, we have a lot of people here that's been challenged with different adversities in life and they reinvented themselves. They're doing something new. Give us a call, 708-359-2746. 708-359-2746. Contact us at that number and let us know your story. I want to know how you reinvented yourself, or someone you may want to recommend that that you feel we should know about, to come on our show and to share with the audience and let them know what they did to reinvent themselves. I'm so happy because at this time, in America, it's so much going on with the government. People are, they're disgruntled with the government. They're disgruntled with the way things are being handled financially. People don't have jobs where they used to have jobs. So to be your own boss, to create something that you can do to bring revenue into your own house, to write something that can continually bring residuals to your purse strings, that's important to be able to do, and to know how to do it, and to know how to get out there and network with people. I tell people all the time, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Get your product together, whatever it is that you want to invent. There are people that have great inventions. I'm going to say this, I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but I used to have an invention that I wanted to do. And I said, no one has this. And if somebody invented this, they would be a millionaire. But I didn't want to say it because somebody may do it and become a millionaire and it wouldn't be me. But I used to think when I was a mom and raising my kids, what a great invention to have a microwave with a battery. So when you're traveling in your car, going from state to state, instead of pulling over and stopping at rest areas, you could have a small microwave that ran by battery, and you could put food in there. And I'm just waiting on someone to invent disposable skillets and disposable pots and pans. How wonderful would that be? You have your paper plates now. Someone invented paper forks, plastic forks, plastic spoons, paper towels, napkins. But who's going to invent the first plastic disposable pots and skillets? Can you imagine who's so sick of washing dishes when you get through cooking and the skillet is just disposable, you throw it away, get another one, you could fry on it. So, people have all kind of inventions. And those of you that's listening, if you invent that, you better send some money to my show to help promote some youth programs that we do. But it's just so many things that you can sit up and think of that you would want to invent and you would want to do, but you may not really know how to go about making that happen. This show is going to open up so much creativity for people that's sitting back that say, you know what, I saw the Reuse show and I thought about some things that I want to do for myself, and I am going to launch out into the deep. I'm going to, like you say, I'm going to do the research, see what is the need for it, how much of this is already out there that I want to do. And I'm going to find an area where I can market it, where it would be, used, and where people have a need to do it. And I'm going to go for it.
Well, there's creative outlets. What they're going to see on the show is creative outlets. When you see somebody who comes up with their story and how they were able to take their ideas, put them on paper, get them, into something tangible, where they were able to, take this idea to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many different ways now, and that's what's beautiful about, the evolution of just us as humans and people, that all of this is growing and changing, and it's all about, if you want to do something different, empower yourself.
That's right.
Empower yourself in this world.
You don't have to just sit back.
No.
Make it happen.
That's right.
Grind.
All that stuff that's going on out there today, it's not just about putting those extra dollars in your pocket, but also, strengthening our communities. If we can strengthen our communities, we can have more to say about these egregious acts and things that are happening today with this government, with law enforcement.
That's right.
All of these things that are happening right now. The best thing that we can do is empower ourselves, educate ourselves, get that information, build ourselves up, get better jobs, get better schooling. When you do have those ideas, find out there is ways, because as soon as you think of something, someone else is thinking about the same thing, and you're going to say, man, I just missed my $1 million.
You're right.
And that $1 million can come back to where it should be, right back into your community, to your family, to your people, to make changes.
I used to think I made up a word. Excuse me. I used to think I made up a word. And I'm not going to even say it because people would just laugh. I used to hear this word. It's a medical term. I say, I think I had a dream about that word. And that's a popular word, and everybody's making $1 million off of it. So if you have an idea, you need to write it down. What do you think about patenting? How do you get that done? Like copywriting things so somebody else won't do the same thing and name their book Plastic Sisters.
Well, yeah, now there's, because of the electronic fingerprint now, meaning emails, just putting your stuff out there on social media, it's a little bit easier to protect your stuff, because you basically have, a so-called electronic paper trail of your ideas. When people can say, oh, no, I did this first, you can go back to your Facebook page, 2010. No, I put this on my Facebook page, 5 years ago. So I know you weren't first to come up with it.
Right.
So there's so many different ways. You might wrote it into your electronic files, which also is a fingerprint. So a lot of that stuff is easier. There's a lot of ways to, maybe not actually protect yourself, but actually have some kind of documentation there for people to see that you did come up with it first, or you wrote it down, or you put it somewhere first.
Back in the day, they tell you to mail it to yourself in the mail. So
Yeah.
you have it stamped. We've come a long way since then.
Email it to yourself.
Yes,
now.
absolutely. So, you want to make sure that whatever you put out there, that you're going to get the credit for it. And I want to say, I'm so glad that you came on my show today. I know that you're just traveling around everywhere. I want you to come back. I think it's important for our young males, our young men, to see men that are doing things that are positive in the community, that are doing things on another scale, so that they can see, a picture's worth 1,000 words. I've mentored women, I've mentored young men. We've had all kind of seminars through the programs that we have. We've done motivational speaking, and young people, they just want to be heard. They need somebody to listen to them. I find that sometimes in this day and time, people that's between the ages of 40 to 60, they have lived their life, they're raised their children, they come back, want to lay back and relax. They don't want to be bothered with volunteering. They don't want to be bothered with, you want to be a mentor? You want to get 100 kids and meet with them every Saturday? No, I want to go fishing. I want to relax. But we have to reach back. It takes a whole village to raise a child.
Absolutely.
You have to give that knowledge back. You got to give that energy back. You have to impact them with the same tools that we had to succeed. I'm glad you stopped back today, Dave. And I want you to just give our audience again another way that they can reach you. If they want your book, hold that book up again. Let them see Plastic Sisters. That's one of 7 that he has out there. So you want to actually call him, email him. How can they reach you?
You can actually get the book, reach me through plasticsisters.com. Also, IG is author D Santiago. Facebook is DA Santiago. And my email is dsantiago1206@gmail.com.
And we have gear. If you want to walk around and let people know that we have an assistant. Danielle, if you don't mind, real quick, can you bring the t-shirts and the caps? If you just want to walk around with our gear on, we're going to be letting people know, do yourself over again. You don't have to stay in that rut where you are. You can send for our t-shirts, and we have caps. We have caps that you can send for. Isn't that wonderful? We're reviewing ourselves. I'm reviewing me. This is something that I want to do. I want to let people know every time they see this cap or this t-shirt on, don't stay where you are. Don't stay stagnant where you are. Do yourself over. You are the best you can be. I don't care what cards have been dealt to you in life. You don't have to stay there. You can go to another level in your life. I am Linda Washington, and I'm here to let you know today, as the host of this show, I want to empower you. I want you to feel good about yourself. I don't care if you're a teenager. I don't care if you're a senior citizen, a man, a woman, rich, poor, married, divorced, widowed, whatever you're going through. You don't have to settle for what life has brought your way. You can say, you know what? I want to do something else with me, and I'm going to do something better with my life. You may say, but you don't know my situation. It doesn't matter. I want to know. Call me. Pick up that phone right now and call me today. 708 359-2746. 359-2746. You are an incredibly, uniquely made individual. And what's in your mind, the world needs to know. We're waiting on you. What are you waiting on? I did it. I reviewed me, and I want you to review you. And I want you to tell your friends about the show. I want you to sit back and call a neighbor and let them know that we're going to be coming on. And you have to just call me and let me know that you are listening and that you're looking and that you are encouraged by what you heard today. Thank you, Dave, for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for looking and for listening. And until next time, I'm Linda Washington, your host. And remember, you don't have to settle for where you are because you can reuse.